and pleasant morning to all the guests, participants, panelists, and organizers of the third edition of Media Investment Summit 2025, organized by Indian Television. It is an absolute honor and privilege to be chairing the first panel of the day and discuss about building personalized brands in the digital age. I am Abhishek from Giri Digital Solutions, Chennai. We are a multi-channel network on YouTube. We host 1,000 plus channels on our network in various genres like music, entertainment, travel, sports, podcasts, web series, lifestyle, to name a few. We work with content creators on their content plan and strategies and help them monetize and maximize on YouTube. We also collaborate with brands to stitch their brand narrative with creators to build a long and sustaining journey with each other. Joining me in the panel are amongst the bestest and sharpest marketing minds from diverse industries like media, healthcare, insurance, travel and tourism. I truly believe that this will be an insightful session and we will get to learn from their experience, perspectives and knowledge. My first question is to you, Shweta. You've been a customer experience leader for more than 2 decades. My wife is a fan and a frequent customer of most of the brands you have been working with, be it Yatra.com, Pepperfry, Tata Click, or current company Mahindra Holidays. What does personalization mean in the context of brand building?
Thanks, Abhishek, for asking this question. I think personalization is no more a buzzword, right? It used to be. And since you said 2 decades, and we were having this conversation of 3 decades and 4 decades backstage. But yes, from last 2 decades, I think personalization as a topic has evolved a lot, right? It has gone beyond just taking first name and last name and probably using some of your historical data to personalize. It has gone beyond that, and hence to answer your question in my mind, personalization is on the top of 4 pillars that I see. In today's world, that's your question, right? In today's digital world, where does, what does personalization means? I think it is on the 4 pillars, and the first one being, and it can be controversial for some of you, it's totally non-intrusive for me. And what do I mean by that is, like I said, gone are the days when it was, calling you by your name was personalization. Now, and I've been studying consumer behavior for some time now. I think we don't want, we don't want to be bombarded with lot of personalized message. We just want to be served as a consumer. We just want to be served in a non-intrusive way. For example, if I'm browsing, and I'll take Amazon example because everyone I think here would be a user of Amazon. If I'm looking for any dress or any shoes, it just in a very subtle way tells you that based on your historical search with us, your shoe size will be this or your dress size will be this, right? It is a very non-intrusive way of telling me, and it is very, very personalized. It is hyper-personalized to an extent, right? So I think the first pillar is being non-intrusive is personalization. Second is the emotional connect, and it is easier said than done because it's a very difficult thing to do, but if you can crack that and you can connect to your customers at an emotional level, you can hit some of the chords there, I think the work is done. And while growing up, I clearly remember some of the jingles, Nirma, washing powder, Nirma, everyone remembers it. So there are ways to do it, and I think some of the brands in digital age also are trying to crack that. So that is the second pillar. Third, very basic but very important, being consistent, right? Being consistent of what you're doing on all the channels, all the touch points, wherever you are interacting with your customer. Just take out your genuine self. What you stand for everywhere as a face is important. That is the third pillar. And fourth one, I think it will be incomplete. This session will be incomplete if we don't talk about leveraging data and technology and AI. I think during the day we will touch on AI a lot, I feel. But in my mind, Abhishek, these are the 4 pillars. For me, personalization, sum total of all these pillars is personalization in my view. So that's where I would like to sum up.
Thanks. Thank you. On one side you say non-intrusive and the other side you say AI. where we don't know what kind of data is getting scrapped and how it is going to be throwing out on our face. So that is something for all of us to ponder about. Megha, it's an absolute pleasure to have you amongst us today. Megha is a LinkedIn top voice, a select group of thought leaders recognized by LinkedIn. You have a diverse experience from FMCG companies to shared workspace brands like WeWork and now Tablespace. You're the marketing mind behind taking the company from 10x to 100x in 15 minutes of association. How, according to you, do marketers look at the change when you are targeting micro and niche audiences versus mass reach?
Thank you, Abhishek, and hello and good morning to everybody. It's an interesting space when we talk about personalization. I think companies and brands have been doing personalization for a while. As somebody who has spent over 13 years in FMCG and now about 5 years in flex workspaces, in B2B, 70% of the clients expect personalization, and when done right, you see about 7 to 8 times better ROI versus non-personalization. So personalization is not a good to have, it's your competitive moat in today's times. That's how you really differentiate. And to your point on data, I think one part is companies collecting data, having the right tech, having AI, but data when looked at without empathy is surveillance. And empathy without data is guesswork. So you need a good mix of both data and empathy to ensure that you're able to do marketing right. Because today, as marketers, you're not doing mass communication. You're doing mass personalization at speed, at scale, and that cannot happen without the right technology, without the right understanding of data, and without the right understanding of the consumer. So you need the right tools and the tech to come together to give you intelligent insights and cohorting of consumers, so you're able to connect with them personally at scale. My colleague spoke about Amazon, for example. Another non-intrusive, great experience that I see from a B2C brand is Netflix, where once you see, and I think everybody's experienced this, you watch a couple of programs and then it starts sharing with you, you might enjoy this next. How unintrusive, how relevant, it just works like magic. And that's a very important part about personalization. I don't want you to creep me out with ads just because I saw a certain shoe. My entire feed is filled with shoes like that. So you're not tracking consumers in a way that makes them uncomfortable to the point on data, but relevantly reaching out to them. In B2B, and I'll take another 30 seconds on this, and a very, very small example to say how personalization really works. We do custom-built workspaces for enterprise clients. So personalization starts from the first contact really. An EY's office versus a Microsoft's office versus a Google's office is different. So each deck that we deliver for a client looks different, speaks different, talks to the client in a language they understand. So when I'm talking personalization, doesn't have to be really fancy, viral, groundbreaking, but these smaller touch points which ensure that the client is listening to you from day one. You understand them, you're standing in their shoes and talking to them like you understand what they are asking for, at the same time delivering expertise because they're coming to you for a solution. But when you talk to them at a mass level, everybody's talking at a mass level, so what's your differentiator? So to me, personalization is a competitive moat. You can't, in this noisy, ad-heavy, media-heavy environment, get away by talking to everybody like you are everybody. I have to talk to you like you. And I think that's what's going to be the big differentiator.
Nice. So, very beautifully said, Megha. It's looking at the finer details, and which is not a very difficult thing to do, but when we look at it from a mass perspective, then we forget to look at the finer things, and that actually makes a big difference. Monish, you've been with Business Standard for almost 10 years now. Congratulations on that. Prior to that, you were with Red FM and were the most awarded marketer in the radio industry during your time. So from radio to print and subsequently extension of that as how, according to you, do brands ensure a consistent voice while creating personalized content across multiple channels?
Thank you, Abhishek. Morning, everyone. What is a brand if not consistent? I'll pull back a little. We are talking about personalization and in the digital ecosystem. I think the pandemic precipitated an 8 to 10 year curve in about 10 months in both personalized content and digital consumption. This became the most valued real estate, which cluttered the consumption ecosystem, I would say. Decreased our attention span, gave us too many choices, which takes me to Abhishek's question: how does a brand maintain a consistent voice? All great brands have been built, will be built, if they have a consistent voice to the consumer. Now, personalization is the other side of it. Each consumer might be slightly different. Am I able to connect with them in the way they should be connected, with the empathy that Megha was talking about? On the other side, you have the ethos of a brand. Let's say for business standard, objective, in-depth, insightful. I'll use the word insight, Anil and Ananta. It's my brand tagline. In-depth, insightful journalism is at the core of it. That needs to be consistent. Whereas, what technology can do is, let me implement a great recommendation engine. Each reader, as per their preference, is seeing the kind of content they are most suitable to consume, that they want most. But all of it will be objective, not sensational, in-depth, very, very relevant. One thing that I genuinely feel will lead to this consistent voice is the different teams that converge in the marketing ecosystem to have a code to follow. For example, again, for digital publishers, product SEO, development, which is technology, editorial, and brand marketing work together. Now, you may have a certain tone of the brand that the brand marketing team has set. Does technology understand it? Perhaps not. It is for the system to ensure there are references, there are codes, there are processes one can look up when they need more clarity. And yeah, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much for that, Manish. Kiran, you've been in the real estate industry all your career. You've been invited to speak on multiple panels by Realty Plus and World Marketing Congress. You also have an inspiring track record of selling out the units the moment the project is announced. What is the magic recipe, Kiran? And what do you think are the key pillars of a successful personalized brand strategy today?
Thank you and good morning to everybody. I think there are a few points that I want to highlight here. The first thing is storytelling in the digital age today. It has to be emotional storytelling. You have to bring out a connect with the audience today where the person feels connected to you, feels emotional about it. So giving an example, Google actually came out with an ad called Google Reunion in 2021. Where they actually highlighted a Hindu and a Muslim, very good friends, were in Pakistan in Lahore during partition, and all of us know partition ke time everybody had to pick up their bags and come here. And he was just telling his granddaughter, I had a friend, we used to fly kites, etc. The granddaughter searched for the same thing on Google, said how much street shop mein jate the, he used to own that shop, searched for it, called him, and we connected them. Google actually wanted to highlight that they're not just a search engine, they're actually here to connect people together, and that was such an interesting ad. It kind of struck a chord where you say, it's everyday life and it's how you use it. Whether it's to connect with people, whether it's to find out where you want to go for a holiday, or whether it's for work purpose. Very interesting is very, very strong emotional storytelling. The second thing is hyper-personalization. A lot of my colleagues have touched upon that. But very personalized, hyper-personalization, I think Zomato and Swiggy are very good examples. Is it raining very heavily? बहुत अच्छा सा मौसम है. Let's get you pakoras. How they hit a chord, or they also track this is the time of the evening where I'm feeling a little hungry, 5 or 6 o'clock. Is it time for a light snack? So that's something that really, okay, they understand my buying pattern and they're giving me insights basis that, or, triggering me a little bit at the end saying, oh, now is the time to buy from me. The third thing I think is, it's very important for brands today to have an immersive experience. And it's not only static content that is running, it is immersive content, use AR, VR, etc. We use that in real estate a lot to be able to show you the dream house when it is not even built on ground. And that really helps build that confidence and helps us, be relevant in the digital age. Dove came up with a brilliant ad in 2000, I think, where they actually, you could take a selfie, and a lot of people, children nowadays are using a lot of filters on their faces, right? And they wanted to bring in a conversation about that and say, you know what, here is your face, half is fully filtered, full of makeup, here is your original face, and your original face is so beautiful. So there are a lot of women who are actually, going ahead taking those selfies and saying, you know what, my actual face, my natural face is so beautiful. Why do I really need to be, not confident about my own face and go into filters? Very interesting conversations through AR, VR are coming up in the market today. Last thing I want to highlight is community building. I think it's very important today for brands to be relevant in the digital age with younger audience to build communities. Like how Nike is doing with their, run community. They're actually giving you a lot of, tips and tricks saying, Acha, I've run this much. Share it with your friend, encourage him to run. It's not like they're selling their products on that app. They're just, being conscious that I am building a community of loyalists. I don't need to be viral. I'm just building that community of people who will purchase from me because they're connected with me every day. So yes, those are a few limited points where I think brands today are personalized, are also looking at multiple ways in being connected with the audience, which are different from how we were doing it a few years back. So thank you.
Okay, so you were mentioning about the nostalgia ads and then you went into immersive. So it's really amazing. And then finally you talk about community building. I think it's very important for every marketer to see how they are able to build a community and stay connected with the community. Harshita, you've been in real estate and insurance. Both these industries give a sense of security to consumers and customers. Was this by design or part of a strategy? Also, what according to you are the key pillars of a successful personalized brand strategy today?
Thank you, Abhishek. Good morning to all of you. I can say one thing that is common between real estate and life insurance is both the decisions are for life. So that's the common factor. Coming to the personalized brand strategy, I think in today's space, attention is the currency. We all are fighting for customers' attention. When attention is the currency, personalization is no longer a tactic, it is the soul of that strategy. And when I talk about the key pillars that drive personalization, to put it in the easiest manner, 4 things: technology, empathy, intelligence, and creativity. Let's just dive into 4 of these. Let's start with empathy. So today it's all about the purpose-led positioning. Now today the customer is no longer talking to us just for his transaction. We are not there to tell him or her what do we offer. We have to tell him what do we stand for. How will we help him or her achieve his life goals? How can we help him, talk to his aspirations? So I think empathy is really important from that perspective. When I talk about intelligence, it's all about understanding the customer. So gone are the days, the 25 to 45 male, tier 1, this income group is my, target audience. You have to go 3 steps beyond that. What is something that is their pain point? What is something that doesn't let them sleep? What are the challenges they are facing? So you have to put the person beyond that profile. Just talking or making decisions basis the profile will not help. So that is the intelligence of knowing who our customers are.
talking about technology. So we have to understand at what phase is the customer. And then technology is not just the data to make the media decisions, it's also about what funnel, where can I catch him, where is the bounce rate highest, what sort of content or what page that he or she spend the maximum time on. So that sort of technology is again a very important pillar of personalization. Last but not the least, creativity. It's the time for omnichannel, so that omnichannel precision, and you're talking with the content that is, my colleague and panelist spoke about being consistent, knowing the tonality. So being consistent across the platforms, it should not look like a copy-paste content, but a curated content. I think that is equally important. So I think these four are the pillars of personalization. I'll end with saying, with personalization, if you are catching the right mindset at the right time, the right platform, your work is done. Also, it's no longer, as Shweta mentioned, about just putting the name of the person in the mail communication. It is about making them feel that they are heard, they are seen, always.
Nice. So, you were talking about attention throughout, and I think that's the most difficult thing today, to retain anyone for more than 5 seconds, considering it's shorts and reels and all such short form content which is getting produced by the second. Also, you were mentioning about the tech part of it, and we amongst us have this great techie. I'm a super fan of his for all his entire technical prowess in digital marketing, right from website building to SEO to SMO to marketplace to omni-channel. I think he's covered it all. You've seen the role of traditional media evolving and how it evolves personalization strategies for a holistic brand experience.
Hi Abhishek, thanks for the question and good morning everyone. So I will, since I work with Cipla, so I will talk from a pharma lens. In pharma, 4 things are very important when we talk about marketing. First is awareness, second is trust, third is adherence, and fourth is empathy. To touch base on all of these 4 aspects of marketing, both traditional and digital plays a very integral role. So traditional media has not eroded, rather it has evolved, and along with traditional, how we are leveraging digital media to frame a very integrated, patient-centric and trustworthy ecosystem where we are touching upon all the different touch points of the patient journey is very critical. I'll start with traditional media. When we talk about TV and print ads, they still play a very important role to drive awareness, reach, brand legitimacy, credibility. All these things are very important, and traditional media does play a very important role, especially for big pharma companies which cater to large audiences across India. So a large population of India, the older generations, the rural populations still in the tier 2, tier 3 cities, where the actual need of penetrating these markets in terms of adherence, in terms of building trust, in terms of hand-holding them throughout the entire patient support programs or the therapy that they are on for any chronic ailments becomes very critical. So that is where traditional media plays a very important role. But for the subsequent aspects of the patient journey, like how do you build personalization, how do you build empathy, how do you touch base with them at every juncture of their ailment journey, that in that aspect digital media plays a very important role in terms of hyper personalization, in terms of A/B testing, in terms of understanding what is their pain point and how do you address their pain point. Because in healthcare, we cannot be very salesy, it cannot be very promotional driven. You have to be very empathetic, you have to have a human touch to understand what is the pain point of the person. Like I'll give you an example. If you consider obesity, you just cannot use the term obesity in any of Google or Meta ads because because it's a health concern and you can't target your ads or you can't promote based on this keyword. So how do you circumvent all these particular terms like diabetes, obesity, lung care, and still help the patients becomes very important. In digital media, I'll talk about programmatic buying on TV and print ads, where you get access to a large inventory of Google and publishers. And then how do you leverage digital programmatic out-of-home advertising? Along with traditional and digital, you are able to build that integrated patient journey. Just to give an example, so suppose if I am running an ad on a regional TV channel, so that ad is traditional media, but then I am showing a QR code in that ad, or I am showing a phone number on which the patient can give a missed call. Then that is leveraging digital along with traditional. Then from that QR code, I am bringing the person to a WhatsApp chatbot or to my mobile application. That is leveraging a digital product. And on that mobile application or WhatsApp chatbot, I am having a journey where I am taking through all the different avenues, touch points that I have for the patient, and then I am understanding the different data analytics, that is leveraging AI and ML to understand what are the different interest areas or health concerns that each and every person, or what is the medical profile of the person, what is the journey of the patient that he has gone through. So suppose if he is a respiratory, he is suffering from some respiratory ailment, he would have gone to the general physician first, then he would go to the pulmonologist. So what is his therapy that he has been on, what is his medication, and basis that we are able to personalize the WhatsApp journeys, the push notifications, the in-app nudges, the SMS, RCS, all of these are hyper personalized to help each and every patient in his journey of, because these are chronic ailments, of course this can't be reversed. You have to be with that person throughout his life, throughout his journey, and a lot of his ailments are genetic, so they get passed on to the future generations. So as a brand, the credibility and trust that you build with a particular patient helps to build your lifetime value with that customer, because then along with the person you can help his parents, his children, so on and so forth. Then I will also talk about A/B testing. So when I talk about A/B testing, in a person who is suffering from say asthma or COPD in Bangalore will be very different from a person who is suffering from a same ailment in Gurgaon or Mumbai, because the EQI levels differ. So how do you customize the creative? How do you customize the communication? That also plays a very important role, and that is where your data analytics play a very integral and vital role in understanding the patient in journey, and also personalizing the time of the day of the week, what is the communication, what is the channel that he is most responsive on. All these things become very important. So that is how I think in traditional media and digital media in a very integrated way can help all healthcare and pharma companies serve patients better.
Great. So you're talking about A/B testing, Aditya. Because how would you measure ROI of personal brand efforts, especially when traditional metrics might not fully capture the value?
It's a fantastic question to somebody who's in real estate, and we do very little traditional media. Like I mentioned, for us it is about more targeted activation. So the marketing in real estate is slightly different. Within Flex it becomes even more different. So it is considered one of the most traditional industries in the country today. Earlier, and I think maybe I'll give an anecdote to sort of explain why we do what we do. My fellow panelist says that you buy a house for a lifetime. We are in the commercial real estate side of things, and we deal with, say, one person who's like a CRE head for an organization who's looking for an office for 200, 300,000 employees. And it is not just desks, chairs, walls, but the experience that the company wants to give to employees every day. Attrition is a real problem. How do you ensure well-being? How do you ensure that employees love coming to the office? And your office is a competitive advantage versus another competitor in the market to ensure employee retention and employee happiness is high. So, given all of these things, I will go back to my first point on how we spend a lot of time understanding our consumer. When a brief or an RFP is in the market, as players in this category, we spend a lot of time understanding what they are looking for, why this micro market, and when the pitch is made, the personalization starts there. So, in real estate, marketing is not so much about how I'm reaching the consumer. It's not just traditional, digital. I'm talking the entire life cycle. So from the time my sales team connects with the client the first time, marketing and the brand is involved from that stage. So the pitch that you see, the tour that you take of the space once you come there, my fellow colleague from real estate spoke about AR, VR experiences, how nicely we are able to show them how their potential office would look, how we are able to sort of share potentially how the amenities will look, how will the recreation areas look. It is all in the power of technology really, and how much you're able to personalize and understand and break down the brief for the client. So it's not just advertising. So I want to really break that down, saying when we say personalization, the brand has to personalize at every interaction the client has with the brand, not just advertising. So I think I want to really break that myth, because advertiser who was earlier on the other side, any brand was doing one-way comms, but now the consumer is seeing the brand as a very human entity in that sense, saying how are you understanding me? Your brand needs to have a persona. And therefore, when I think the Zomato example really works well in this case. Zomato is literally like this quirky human being in my head. So which is why I interact with Zomato in a certain way as a consumer versus say a Swiggy. So I think as marketeers, we need to understand that we are no more an OPEX function, but more an ROI generating collaborative function which cuts across all the functions and ensures that brand is consistently delivering across all touch points with the client. In our case, it's also the post experience, right? So once the client moves in, the job is not done. The retention is a really large part, and that's where personalization dials up even further. So the day-to-day experiences, so my pantry boy, for example, would know the CEO likes latte, or somebody else likes an espresso, or somebody prefers soy milk over regular milk. That's the level of personalization, and that's what consumers remember, not the ad that they saw which got them on board. So it's the entire journey, and I think as brands we need to ensure that every touch point has an element of personalization. There is effort going in from the brand to understand who the consumer is, why they are with us, why they will stay and grow with us, and how they will be ambassadors to get more clients to us. So in my head it's not so much traditional digital, it's more the end-to-end experience. And like my fellow colleague said, if traditional works, we use traditional. If digital works, we use digital. Otherwise, we use the on-ground one-to-one interactions to ensure that as a brand, we are able to deliver experiences, not advertising.
It's amazing you say this because the time that you mentioning about you investing a lot of time. So invariably, most of the people who are working, they spend more time in their workspace than at home. So obviously you need to put in that kind of effort to understand the finer points. And and you were also mentioning about the customer experience. And so Shweta, my question to you is, what strategies do you use to form personalization into long-term customer loyalty?
This is a great question, I think. I think every panelist touched upon the strategies, right? So I will not again talk about it. But let me try and articulate this in the form of example, right? I used to work for a luxury fashion e-commerce company, Tata Click before, and being in luxury space, personalization was key there. So we did a lot of things, but this one example I think is a success story that I would like to share. So what we did, so luxury space is a very different space where the customers, they have their own preferences of the specific brand they always wear, the specific lifestyle they follow, and so forth. So we try to tap on a certain cohort. And using the algorithm, we identify a set of customers who had similar kind of needs and preferences, and those were like HNIs, right? So we created a model, and using this your example, like I'm trying to articulate how we converted a simple method of hyper personalization into a long-term loyal customers. So using this this set of customers, knowing their purchase history, preferences, etc., we created an algorithm, and we identify what they like, they don't dislike, and we made all our interventions according to that. And like Megha said, it is not about one instance, it is about all touch points. Very true. So we used both pre-sales and post-sales journey touch points, where we using virtual relationship model, and it was extensive use of technology, knowing what are the touch points where they're interacting. And we created some, small, moments of personalization and some big ones also. Just to give an example, that early access to the sale, right? Just sending a subtle nudge to some customers who always wear Armani as a brand, right? So hey, your favorite brand is coming on board and it will be on discount. Very personalized message, intervention. So we did that for pre-sales and post-sales. We also had some human intervention in between, because being in luxury space, you cannot drive everything with technology. Some human intervention is required. So we had relationship managers as well. In this hybrid model, what it did for these set of customers, HNIs, they were engaged throughout with us, in their customer journey, whether they are wanting to shop and they're waiting for some sale, or they just want to shop and they want their favorite style to come on board, or buy it on an app, and once they have bought it, they want some service around it and reach out to customer service. Entire journey we mapped out, and it was a success story for us, because the repeat purchase of this cohort went up to at a level which was not there in a normal scenario. And the NPS, since the question is about loyalty, and NPS is the measure of loyalty, right? This is one of the metrics that most of us track to know how loyal our customers are. NPS was in the range of 80 to 90 always, which is like never heard of NPS, right? So yeah, this was a success story, and this is how I thought, instead of talking about strategies that everyone has already touched upon, this is one example that stands out in terms of how hyper-personalization can actually get you to a long-term loyalty with customers.
Monish, what would you advise to fellow brands and brand marketers for their journey in building personalized connections in the digital?
Fellow brand marketers, that we preaching to the choir. Digital age, personalized journeys, what I can talk about is perhaps what has helped me over the years. At the crux of it, first principles matter. Marketing is not about XYZ medium, ABC technologies. It's about connecting with your consumer and serving your consumer in the best possible manner. Where data is the tool, enabler, technology is an enabler, but at the baselines are a genuine connection, are relevance, are fulfilling a need gap. I think as marketers, over the last 5-6 years, we have too much information to review, to act on. That's both a good and a bad thing. We've all worked with Google, Meta, etc. and seen how tedious it can be to match their data analytics with your actual backend. Because data in itself is not enough. Is that data sufficient? Is that data adequate to make decisions? If dashboards could make decisions, we would all be out of our jobs. Our role is to apply a healthy dose of intuition to try and understand what from the data is actually actionable, what isn't. and act accordingly. And training, reskilling, of course, they matter. The point being, I've had a media career throughout my work life. I've stopped referring to media as traditional and non-traditional. What's non-traditional today can be traditional tomorrow. Radio was traditional sometime, podcast weren't. Are podcasts traditional now? Yes. So we need to be malleable, adaptable to the various options, media, platform, channels, to reach the consumer, to map the day in life of your consumer and touch them accordingly. And that openness, perhaps in times of fewer media options, print, television, hoardings, that openness did not matter so much. But we are constantly evolving now, and we need to be mentally prepared for that.
So, Manish, true to being a person from the radio industry, you have a message saying what is tradition today is not tradition tomorrow. So it's amazing how you summed it up. And Kiran, what new technologies or trends are you most excited about in the realm of brand personalization? And how do you see it evolving in the next few years?
Sure, I think technology is evolving every day. A lot of us are also. So I'll give you some examples of how we are in real estate at Tata Realty using personalization. There's a customer development platform that has been created now. Somebody who's searching on my website is actually clicking on say location and going to the details of location, gets an email from me at that point in time on that event saying here's a detail of the location. Or is going through my amenities, is more interested in a swimming pool, let me send him communication saying swimming pool. So there's so much data that is getting captured slowly where it is possible for us to personalize. Manish very nicely said, pick out the data that's actually relevant to you and communicate accordingly, and that's something that we've started doing already. A lot of us also spoke about AI, right? Gen AI is coming about in a lot of spaces. It's also coming about in pre-sales. We're talking about Salesforce Einstein being so personalized in terms of pre-sales that it's actually going to give you data. So if I'm having there's two things, right? One is bots that will be able to communicate to you, and the human intervention in terms of giving specific information will move out. We still have chatbots today. It will be somebody really speaking to you like a pre-sales agent who will be a bot. And secondly, no scripts that we normally as marketers give to our sales team or our pre-sales team. It will be an ongoing learning mechanism where if you're asking me a question, if the bot does not know, it will self-learn. So I think technology is moving forward very strongly today. These are a few examples that I wanted to highlight that we're using in the real estate space today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Harshita, this is the last question of this panel before I give each one of you gives one takeaway to the audience here. So, Harshita, what I would like to ask you is, there are so many digital mediums and platforms as options for brands and marketers today. How does one decide which one is the most appropriate for them, and how do they go further ahead from them?
I completely agree. We have so many tech platforms available today, social media platforms available, so much information around for every touch point and everything. I think three things are important. First of all, of course, our audience. We need to know where they present. Second is the intent, and third is the context. Talking about audience, they are at which stage? Are they at the awareness stage? Are they at the evaluation stage? Or are they making the final purchase decision? So knowing where your audience are, accordingly you decide for the platform. Then also knowing their demographics and everything. If someone at the age in 20s might go to Reddit to know about the term insurance and financial advice, or a YouTube for a financial literacy. Whereas someone who is 40 plus might go to financial blogs, websites like Money Control, something to learn more about term plans. So it is important to understand where they are. Second is, depending on the platform, the intent. Someone coming to LinkedIn will always come with the objective to learn or take some information, a value add. Whereas when Instagram just scrolling for that emotional connect or storytelling. So that is again important. Then comes the data, which should not just be implicated to make the media buying decision, should also be used what frequency, what nudge, using customer, knowing the customer behavior. So again, that is data is again important, and when intent, context and audience come together, we completely have the clarity. Then we are not lost between 5 platforms or 5 tools, which should I invest in. So yeah, it's all about brand message, right mindset, right moment. When these 3 come together, I think personalization then can turn into persuasion.
Thank you so much. So Aditya, your giveaway to the audience, one point that you would want them to remember from this panel.
So we touch based a lot on AI, data, analytics, but I personally am a very strong believer of not losing out on the empathy and human touch while relying on predictive analytics, artificial intelligence, machine learning, large language models to better fabricate and orchestrate our journeys. But being from the healthcare and pharma sector and having worked here for quite a few years now, I think that still having that human connect, having that emotional touch, and having that one-on-one connection with each of our consumers, in our case it will be our patients, is very very critical, and that will never fade. That will always stay. And I think so. How do we amalgamate data analytics and not losing out on the human connect is very critical when it comes to marketing, because marketing, advertising at the end of the day is how do we connect with our audiences. It's more human than data. I think that is one idea I would want to leave my audiences with.
So a summary to what I've basically said is think of marketing not as a function which delivers advertising and brand messaging, but a more comprehensive, end-to-end, intelligent, responsive algorithm that ensures that you come across to the consumer not as a static, but more as a responsive brand, personalizing and ensuring that you are delivering strength to strength and a connect. I think everybody spoke about empathy in so many ways. So in my view, it is responsive, empathetic algorithm, if I have to say that way, because it has to come together beautifully to ensure that the brand wins across board. You cannot separate data and empathy today. It has to be an intelligent merge of both using all the tools that we have today as marketers, be it data, tech, whatever. So that's how I'm looking at it.
I'll say it's about knowing your audience, not just the profile, but understanding them 2 to 3 clicks, so that every decision you make is very customer centric. You know what are the pain points, what are the triggers, what problem in his or her life am I solving, where do I fit in, what stage is she or he in. So I think that understanding will always help you from technology, personalization, empathy, everything put together.
Yeah, thanks. I think a lot of takeaways and very good points everyone made, and a lot has been spoken about already. So I would say I understand there are a lot of strategies, right, that you can adopt, but see what suits best for your customers, your brand, and adopt that. Don't shy away with experimenting, right? See what works. It should be database, research-based, do a lot of study. Adopt a strategy that works, and human connect, empathy, all of that is any which way is there. One of the things that stands out for me is not being non-intrusive strategy for personalization.
My takeaway was, I think it was a very interesting discussion, and my takeaway was we spoke about empathy, we spoke about emotional communication that hits a chord, we spoke about AI, ML and usage of that in identifying what data you really want to use in terms of who your customer is and personalize accordingly. We discussed a lot of examples that connect with us like Zomato, Swiggy, etc. that are actually looking at the time of the day, the time of when I want to eat, etc. and communicate. So we did discuss a lot of things about how to retain the customer's attention in this digital age. So that has been my takeaway from this.
I won't say something that's not been spoken already, but let me leave this with a hope that my community, us marketers, can still keep marketing intuitive. At the end of the day, let's not get caught up by jargons. What's multimedia and 360 will become omnichannel, there will be Web3, there will be AI enablers. Let's hopefully not get caught up with short-term gains, hyper-focused ROI. That is not taking away from the importance of ROI at all. But let's look at medium to long term and build genuinely great brands. That's the only way the consumer is going to remember this.
Thank you, sir. You've been an amazing panel. Thank you so much for all your insights. And thank you to the audience.
Anil Malbar here. What's the role of the agency going to be in all of this? Because the agencies there's creative, there's data, there's media. What's the role of the agency going to be going forward?
So I think the brief will determine what will be the role of the agency, and I think the smarter the briefs get from clients, and I think, let me give you an example of what we're doing at Tablespace. The marketing function is about 1.5 years old. I set up the function when I came into Tablespace. The ask has been fairly clear. It's about breaking what we've been doing in the past. It's not just about upper funnel we'll do this, mid funnel we'll do this, lower funnel we'll do this. It's about also educating the agency, saying the entire touch point, like I spoke about, it's marketing is not just about advertising anymore. And I think as marketers, when you hold the brief that way, you'll be surprised how agencies mature and come up with ideas like that. Because to them, it starts with the brief. So I think a lot of responsibility at brands ends to ensure that we are also crafting the right narrative, holding a strong brief, and therefore enabling our agencies to come back with brilliant ideas, because agencies are extensions of marketing functions. So unless they understand what we are looking at, expecting them to suddenly transform into somebody who understands your brand is not going to happen. So I think a lot of onus on us as marketeers.
Such a great question. Thank you so much for asking, right? And this excites me to answer. See, again, Megha, beautiful hearing all of you. See, agency plays a very, very important role, and agencies are no more in that traditional world of only doing the advertising, add this sign, and that's it, my job is done. They have matured and they have become overarchingly doing everything, right? So they will design, ideate, research, use data, develop as well, right? So they are doing end to end. And apparently I have also done that in my career throughout, right? And again, saying that they don't have to really talk about that my job is done, I'm advertising this and it's over. No, you have to evaluate what are those touch points, and when the actual user goes and makes the purchase, where the drops are. Marketing is not only selling something which doesn't work. Sell something which really gives you the complete experiences getting done, and this is delightful at the end of the day. So that's the point I wanted to add. Sir, you were asking another question.
I have to add. So, firstly, I do not like using the word agency. It is more of partner. And these partners do not work in silos anymore. Like she was mentioning, the brief of course is very important. But in my case, I can tell you that there are many multi-partner meetings that we have. So I think in my perspective, the role is how can we leverage partners to leverage more data and analytics in a very integrated manner. I'll just give one example. In our case, it is very important to drive people when we are launching a new initiative, how we are driving screening to diagnosis to treatment to adherence to post-patient services. In all of this, it becomes very important to have platforms like which is data analytics, your MMP tools, mobile measurement platforms, Google Analytics, Meta Analytics. Then you have data analytics platforms like Mixpanel, CleverTab. Then you move on to, if you are doing any lead capturing campaigns, then you have CRM platforms like Lead Squad, Zoho. Then you have customer engagement platforms like MoEngage. Clever Tab, Salesforce is a CRM. They also have now launched their own customer engagement services. Then you have communication platforms as a service, CPaaS platforms. Now all of these partners cannot perform in silos. They have to work in a very integrated fashion, and only then you can orchestrate journeys which are integrated and hyper-personalized like we were mentioning. So in my perspective, it is very important how are you leveraging each of these platforms, each of these partners, specific to their capabilities, specific to the value that they bring onto the table, and then fabricate an entire orchestrated journey which starts from, in our case, from screening to post-patient services. That is my perspective.
I'll answer. This is beautiful. And so what's happening right now, again, we are still thinking agency is a separate organization and technology development partners are separate. What is, and then a client. And Megha, you also mentioned, right, as long as the brief is good, we are fine with it, right? Everybody does the job. But interestingly, brief is always wrong, right? That's the reality of the world. So how do you really communicate to do the job that the brand really needs, right? Then there is a concept of teams or companies that are hybrid in nature. Means they have a agency mindset and they are hardcore technology. As you are aware, it's been almost 15 years predominantly. All the IT organizations have actually got merged into an experience organization. Right? Now they play that essential important role where they actually make client and speak out the brief. They will never speak because they will have a problem. Hey, I'm not getting the ROI, excuse me. Explain more. So you have to keep asking questions to the client and form a proper brief. Once that brief is actually formed and shaped, you brief an agency which might be an outside agency in some of the cases, and then also have your technology partner understand. So now IT organizations are playing that very important central pivotal role. Right, so that's happening, and
I could summarize. I think it's a very interesting point, and to the point that three of us made in some sense. One, I think the word agency is dead, right? For a company which has just started a marketing function, it is an extension to my marketing function. I completely depend on my partners because we are 6 people. I have 30 people at WeWork. So to that extent, usage of word agency itself gives them an outsider perspective. All our meetings, and just to ensure that that the organizations are transforming to something like this, all my partners are in the room when we do the briefing. Everybody knows, whether it's the creative, media, PR, tech, I'll not get into the names. Yeah, everybody is in the room because they need to understand what we're doing. The briefing has to happen centrally. So I lead the brief and then the team takes it on. And these guys also have questions. Please ask questions. I think it also starts from your brief saying कि हम agency नहीं है. We have questions, this is what's happening. And I think once you start doing these conversations, the ideas that you get are insane. So a recent conversation with my media agency, let me not name them, is Megha, I think we're not doing this enough. And I think that's the empowerment that happens because they don't think of themselves as agency anymore. They came back with insane metrics that are sitting on their contract saying, why are we doing marketing qualified leads, we should do conversion. That's my agency speaking. So I think it's a transition that's happening, but it's a two-way street, and I think even agencies have to come back saying that we are an extension of your marketing function and we have a POP on the brand metrics. Tell us your KRAs, you want to partner in those KRAs. I think it's a great space that's there right now. Agencies are also looking at scaling up. Boutique agencies are coming up which are actually doing much better than some of the larger agencies. So the competition is tough everywhere. So in my head, lots of evolution happening in this space.
Just to add also, I think the brief is the first step, but now agencies are involved in each and every step. I think the information and the analytics that you provide to them over the journey of till qualified lead to closure is what they actually use, and the questions come in more then to kind of optimize your campaigns. Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. I wish this panel could go even further because I was actually enjoying that discussion. Such an interesting discussion was happening. All the gorgeous women out in the panel. A very big round of applause for all of you and to the gentlemen as well.